Good morning, guys, and welcome back. I wanted to show you how I took this thrift store painting or picture. I'm pretty sure they just put wallpaper over a panel. And I turned it into this Shanty-inspired sign for my kitchen. And I'll show you how I did the gold foil. There's a transfer there, some decoupage. And just so you know, it says eat, drink, leave, because the neighbors around my house, we get together quite often for parties, and it's a running joke between all of us because if you don't put an end time on your party invitations, they'll just stay all night. So we have to be able to point to the sign and say we've already done this, and now it's time to do this. So it's all in good fun, but I'll show you how I made this sign starting from step one. I did make a couple of mistakes, so I'll show you what I did wrong too. So the first thing I did was just remove that sale sticker from back there, because this is the side we'll be working on. And I removed the panel from here, just loosened all of these little things on the back. And if you're going to a thrift store or a garage sale, you want to make sure that it's something that it's easy to take apart. And then I took the panel out, and because I think this is wallpaper on this side, I decided to just leave it alone. I was going to peel it off, and it was a lot of work, and I thought no one's going to see the back of this anyway, so I just flipped it over and started all my work on the other side. And on the front of the frame, I used this chalk paint, which I seem to be painting everything in this color, even our bedroom. So I painted the front with this color and put the frame aside to dry. Now, while the frame was drying, I took the inside panel outside and I thought I would try to paint this in front of the waterfall. So you can't really see me painting. You can see my hair flying around in some disheveled mess. So I didn't really show you that part, but I wanted you to see the waterfall. It's finally a lovely spring day. I felt like for months all I was showing you was snow. So finally we have a beautiful spring day. There's the waterfall. I am out here painting. You can't really see the close-up. Just suffice it to say, I took some chalk paint and I painted. And while I was outside, I decided to put some copper foil over my frame. So I have a couple of things to explain here. I normally don't like working with the foils because they fly all over, you waste so much, and for me it seems to be a frustrating experience. But not this time because I'm using this spray adhesive by Mona Lisa. I'll put these things on my website and the link will be below. And I sprayed it around the frame. Disregard those the fork, the spoon, and the knife in the center because I was going for something different when I originally started this and decided not to go with that. So I just sprayed in different areas around the frame, not solidly, just in different areas. And you're supposed to wait 2 minutes, and using this same brand of the Mona Lisa metal leaf, and I said gold foil, it's actually copper foil. You get these sheets that are on a specific type of paper where they don't crumple up and fly away and break off. I'm outside again, and these didn't even blow away. So what you do is you place it down over the spray. You just press down on it so that it comes off onto the area that you just sprayed. And once again, I'm not covering the whole thing. I'm looking for that kind of a patina look. And so you see a lot of this green in that, and it goes well with the copper. So I'll just go around the frame and add this to different areas. Now for the next step, because I wanted words that were specific to my project and specific to a certain size, I went over to Word on my computer. And you see here in the font area where you're allowed to change it, it only goes up to 72, but you are actually able to go in there and just delete what's in there and type in your own numbers. So I typed in 100 so that I could make 3 big words. And then I found a new product that I could print on. So what I did was I found out that there is something called white premium. Is for inkjet or laser labels, but it doesn't have all of the little tiny labels. It's got like 2 big sheets that you just take off, and the paper is perfect for doing transfers. So here's one sheet of it. So you see, when you fold it in half, you pull off one huge label from one side, label off the other side, and then you insert this into your printer. It is very, very similar to freezer paper that you use that has a shiny side to it, except it's in the perfect size to go through your printer. So you can see how shiny this is. So what I did was you want to be careful, by the way, not to touch this when it's wet. It doesn't work well for inkjet at all. Now this is a laser printer, and you want to carefully tear out the words that you want to use, and you can see these are in reverse. And you use gel medium. That really is the best medium to use for these transfers. And I'm going to place it down all three images. By the way, you can see the copper fork, spoon, and knife here. Just disregard that. I decided not to use that after all. And I'm going to apply the gel medium now and then the transfer over it. And you want to use something to make sure you're transferring those images or words or letters down onto your surface. I think I used too much of the gel medium here, and I'll show you why when I'm done. So I'm going to continue to go down the panel with my other two words, just applying the gel medium, then putting the transfer over it. And just like a regular transfer, I did need to leave this dry for a while, so I left it for a couple of hours, and then I pulled the paper away. So here's where I'm not sure if it was because I added too much gel medium, but here this is dry. All you do is you pull that paper away, which is phenomenal, but the bad thing is I don't know if I had so much gel medium on there that when I was doing this with the popsicle stick, and you could use a credit card or a spoon for this. I don't know if I moved this around a little bit. I could see a little brown in here. I can see the gel medium. It's pretty sloppy looking. So just for the sake of the video, rather than do this all over and start all over again, I'm just going to sand this down a little bit, apply a little bit more paint, and use one of my markers to fill that in a little bit better. And by the way, I'm using these Faber-Castell big brush markers, I think they're called. I'll have a set on my website. So I'm going to go around and fill all of that in so that it's nice and clear. And now I'm going to decoupage. And by the way, what I did was I took one of my napkins. I really wanted to cut these images out. And I just took an old flyer, or a flyer that I got in the mail. I separated it. I used a glue stick and secured the napkin down that way. This made it so much easier to cut out what I needed. And this way, when you're done, you can just grab the top layer of the napkin, and the glue is causing the bottom layer to stick. And sometimes it causes the bottom two layers to stick, and then you just need to separate this one part. And now I'm going to take my decoupage glue, and I am using napkin decoupage glue, and you want a pretty heavy hand here. And I placed the napkin down where I wanted it over a dry surface, and then I took my fully loaded brush, and from the center out, I gently applied the decoupage glue. Because it's napkin decoupage glue, it will go through that napkin much easier than if you're using one of the heavier regular decoupage glues. So the napkin decoupage glue does make a big difference. Now I'm going to decoupage the rest of this panel and put it aside to dry. And here's another problem that I had, but it was actually a happy mistake that I made. I wanted to apply some of the gold foil over my panel, the copper foil rather, so that it integrated the frame into the picture and it all looked like it was meant to be. So I took this stencil and I placed it down, and I didn't want it to move. So I added some painter's tape around there, and I even put some more of that flyer around just so that the glue wouldn't get, the spray adhesive wouldn't get anywhere else on my table or under the stencil. I certainly didn't want it to get on the panel either. So I covered this all up very nicely. I then put on some disposable gloves and I sprayed lightly that same Mona Lisa adhesive spray into the stencil. And after waiting 2 minutes, like it suggests, I removed all of the tape and the paper around it and the stencil. I then took out a sheet of the copper foil. Now you can see the outline a little bit of where the adhesive went, and it went on there perfectly. So I rubbed this over the surface. Now this was dry, so I have no idea why this happened, but when I pulled the sheet back, this is what I found. So I meant that the panel is dry, the decoupage is dry. So I thought, let me take a brush and brush away the loose parts that should come away. But no, it did not come away. So I don't know why that happened. I can still see an outline of where the glue, the adhesive spray, took the stencil perfectly, but it was just not a very clear image. And I tried it up again at the top and the same thing happened. So I don't mind it. I mean, I would have rather it was a perfect embellishment. Then again, we are going for a shanty look, which is a little bit on the shabby side at the ocean, so nothing is perfect. And I did want to make it look a little bit more vintage. Let me show you up top. I tried to do the stencil again up at the top here. And as I pull the stencil away, you can see where the adhesive is. And the rest of the panel is dry. So that is very tacky adhesive right there. Put the copper panel on there again. I waited 2 minutes like it suggested. That's just so that it's nice and tacky. Put the copper panel over it. And again, it just didn't come out as perfectly as I wanted. So it still looks really pretty to me. And I'm okay with this, especially because we're going for this shanty look. I have to do a little bit more experimentation for the future if I'd like to use the gold foil inside of a stencil, copper foil, sorry. So I'm going to clear this off, clear off any of the excess. One more thing that I would like to do, I want to take some of these distress inks and I'm going to go around the surface of this and just apply a little bit of this faded brownish rusty color. I want to age this just a little bit further. Now that it's dry, I'm going to take it outside and spray it with this clear spray to protect the copper. I am not going to spray the frame because I would like to see if that copper does patina over time. That would be pretty interesting. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to flip this over and put this back in the frame. And here it is now that we're all done. So to me, this looks like a sign that you would see at the shore. I've gone to restaurants and I've seen these colors out there. The napkins inside also match. You can head on over to my website. The link is below. I'm not sure if I will have these napkins over there. By the way, guys, if you go through my website It doesn't cost you anything more. My website goes through Amazon, but it doesn't cost you anything more. Amazon will just give me a very small percentage of what you buy. So I'm kind of kicking around the idea of not keeping the website up anymore, because it's a lot of work and not very many people go through it. So if you have some feedback on that, I'd be happy to hear it. But in the meantime, that is our project for the week. The eat, drink, and leave are words that they're just specific to my neighbors. You can obviously put whatever you'd like on there. You can go over to the Graphics Fairy and find so many beautiful transfers that you can also do. And you wouldn't even have to change the size. So that's our project for the week, my friends. Upcycle with Decoupage is also on Facebook. If you go over and like and follow the page, you'll be notified every week when I put a new video out. Subscriptions are everything. Please subscribe to the channel so that I can keep on going. I'm trying to hit that 100,000 subscriber mark, which I've been hanging around 80 for the longest time. So if you share my videos and subscribe, that's a huge help to me. And thank you so much to all of you who already have subscribed. Some of you have been with me for 4 years, and 4 years ago my video making skills were pretty hideous. So thank you so much for sticking with me, and I'll see you guys next week with another video. Bye-bye.